All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem, Rakakwadash. And I also want to give double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And peace and blessings to those for elect here in this word in truth and in sincerity. All right, I'm the brother Iwalum from the GMS West Palm Beach Camp, back with another lesson. And I want to do something, along the lines of, Egypt shall mourn, because as we can see, these Babylonians, they're mourning because their economy is getting worse, primarily Esau, Edom, are these so-called white people, who pretty much thought that, voting, which you don't vote anybody in, as the saying goes, all right, presidents are selected, not elected. They're selected ultimately by Yahweh Shai. All right, the Lord sets up kings. He puts kings in there. All right, but here on earth, as it is written, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. So the Lord gave Esau the power, to rule the earth right now. All right, but Esau, Edom, all right, and particularly the elite, they choose, all right, who's gonna be the quote unquote president, of this society. So they got these people full thinking that, you go and waste your energy, spend your time electing somebody or voting for somebody. I'm gonna go vote. Trump is gonna save this country. Well, that vote does not determine whether Trump or Biden. It did not determine whether Trump or Biden went into the country, because at the end of the day, all right, they already knew who they were going to put into office, man. All right, so the point that I'm trying to make is that you people, you wasted your time, all right, trying to make America great again, because all of it was empty promises, you see, because everything that Trump said he was going to do, all right, he's really saying against it. He's speaking against what he said he was going to do. All right, this is 2nd Esdras chapter 15 and verse 12, and it says, Egypt shall mourn. Oh shit. It says, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. You see? And that's what we see happening right now. Egypt is mourning. All right, these Edomites, they're mourning. Esau is barely getting by, man. Call all about Shemel shot. But Esau, Edom, the so-called white man and woman, they're barely getting by in this society right now. Or before, this used to be their captivity. And really, the only ones eating in this society, all right, are those Amalekites, and of course the elite, which are Amalekites, because they're eating off of Babylon. All right, all of our hard work. When I say our, I'm talking about like, those of us that are still working, the working class or whatever. Hey, our hard work, because we're getting hella tax out of our paychecks, man. But that's going to Amalek. It's going to the elite. All right, they eating off of our hard labor, you see, and this is the product of unrighteous rulership, man. But nonetheless, these Edomites are mourning, man. Like they catching hell, and rightfully so, because these are the same proud devils that look down on Jake, that call Jake niggas, spics and wetbacks, Now the tables have turned. Tables have turned to where you're in the same condition in which you were, putting Jake down for, And let's go to it's one in Job where it says, every hand of the wicked shall be upon him. I forget, Salakia, it slipped me which chapter in Job. I want to say Job 20, hand of the wicked shall be upon him, okay? Because the laborers, which that's the word that the wicked go into, Amal, which is laborers, okay? Job chapter 20 and 22, it says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. All right, and when you go into the word right there, when you look up the word wicked right there, it goes into the laborers. All right, the working class. You know, they're gonna be the ones to bring Esau society down too, man. You know, that's why going back to the 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, it says how they shall mourn because of the plagues. All right, I just read it to them, but because of the plagues, man. You know, that's gonna be part of the plagues. You know, you're gonna have diseases, you're gonna have famines, you're gonna have pestilences. All right, and you also have a plague, the society getting plagued by inflation. You know, so eventually these people, the cap is gonna blow off of. It's like one of those cartoons where you see like the top blows off, you know, because it's too hot. You know, it's a cartoon reference, but that's how these people are gonna, you know, react. The top of their dome is gonna kind of blow off. Pretty much speaking as of, you know, they're gonna lose their shit. You know, what's gonna happen when you really can't afford, all right, to eat no more? It's gonna get bad out here, man. See? Let me read that again. Job chapter 20 and verse 22. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him, which is, once again, is the laborers. When he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. You know? And so pretty much when Esau Edom is about to establish that NWO, when he's about to, you know, stamp upon it, you know, because as it's written, the devil shall come, Revelation 12 and 12, the devil shall come upon you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he had but a short time, right? So he's gonna move, you know, in his case to pretty much try to establish it, all right? But when he's almost there, all right, Yahweh Shemiah Shai, all right, is gonna pretty much, you know, throw a wrench in his plan, man. Pretty much put that shit to hold. That's it. You're not gonna establish this thing. You know? And Esau Edom, you know, he think that, you know, he's just gonna oppress the poor, you know, and fuck these Edomites. You know, this is their hell is starting. You know, as our captivity is being raised, their hell is starting. All right? But, you know, we're rebuking the elite too. They think that they can just, you know, oppress the poor, you know, and pretty much live good, happily ever after. No, Yahweh Shemiah Shai, you know, is judging, you know, is pretty much judging everybody on all fronts, man. All right? These wacky Edomites, the low-level trailer park trash Edomites, they catching hell because, you know, their own brethren, their own leaders, in the form of Donald Trump, you know, and the White House, whoever representatives in there, you know, they're not doing anything, you know, to help their own people out. So, you know, their own people is looking at them like, you know, you rich scum, you know, you rich scum, you know, they're no good. All right, so now they're trying to come in arms with Jake. They're trying to join forces with Jake in the oppression, you know. Nah, bro. That's the and that's what I'm talking about, right? I don't mean to go on a rant. It's not. So when they were living good, you see, when they were living good, you know, it was all good and dandy. You know, they didn't have to. They weren't worrying about what niggas was going through. Now that they're in the same position as Jake, now you gotta come together to fight the rich. Nah, man, you gonna fight the rich on your own. All right. That's what I would say if, you know, pretty much. If I was a Jake and I was catching hell, and I know Edomite that was catching the same hell as me, I'm gonna say, no, you on your own. You know, because you're only saying it's the rich because, you know, you're suffering now. You know, which eventually everybody's gonna be on their own in the times to come, because it's gonna be survival of the fittest. All right. It's gonna be time to survive, and everybody, it's like it, man. I just think it's funny. Everybody's gonna be for themselves. It's not gonna be, let's support each other. It's not gonna be, let's stand together against the rich. Okay, but Egypt is catching hell. All right, these everyday Edomites is catching hell, man. I love it. I love to see it. Let's go to it, and then it's Iraq where it says fall of enemies. I want to see the 25th chapter. Yep, it's Iraq 25. Slack. This is Iraq 25 and verse 7. And it says, there be 9 things which I have judged in mine heart to be happy. And the 10th I will utter with my tongue, a man that have joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemies, of his enemy. So we're living right now to see the fall of our enemy, and we love to see it, man. And even as though it looks like, guys like, Donald Trump, or even guys that are rich in society, they're doing all right. They're catching hell too. They may not show outwardly because they may have a little bit more money, just a little bit more money than the average person. But for the position that they're in, because if you're rich, you got a lot to maintain. You got to maintain your wealth. You got to maintain your cars, maintain your house, your payments, or whatever you're paying off. Well, you got to maintain all of that, man. So you're only catching hell in your own position. Whatever position that we're in, we're catching hell in our position. We're barely getting by. We're catching hell. But one thing for sure is that we're living to see the fall of our enemies. All right, and sooner or later, we're gonna see how these so-called white people, go against their government. And of course, you're gonna have niggas in there because Jake, they love it here in Babylon the Great, man. One thing I hate to see, I hate to see is an Americanized nigga, man. The shaved face, bald head, hoping that this society gets. I hate seeing that shit. Fucking Sambo ass niggas, man. And then these are the same niggas that'll come against you. Yeah. It's lucky, man. But yeah, man. That's pretty much what I wanted to touch on in this lesson. Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is catching hell. All right. Their own women are turning against them. It's a beautiful day. I guess it's not a good thing to be quote unquote white no more, because being white don't mean nothing in a failing society. And that's the thing too. With this society crumbling and falling, everything, not just the prices of everything is going up, or the living conditions getting worse, but even the reputation of an Edomite, that's declining too. Now, there's a scripture on that. Okay? There's a scripture on that in Psalms the 64th chapter. Being an Edomite is not fashionable no more. Everybody wanted to be an Edomite. Everybody wanted the brighter skin and the blonde hair. Now, of course, you still got niggas trying to be like Esau, the blonde hair or whatever. But being an Edomite is not fashionable no more, man. Nobody wants to be an Edomite. Okay? Psalm 64. Salaki. Psalm 64 and verse 8, it says, so shall they make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Alright? Because you got, Joe Sixpack, even Joe Sixpack is exposing his elite, is exposing his uppers, man, like Donald Trump. And the people that wanted to be like Esau, they're fleeing away. They're like, hell no. They dipping, man. Even like Moab, because Moab is one of the biggest ones that want to be like an Edomite. You don't even see them want to be like with Esau no more. Now, of course, once again, you're gonna have those that are still there trying to stick it through by Esau's side or whatever, because hey, we're still in his kingdom, his society. So, you're gonna have those that are still blinded trying to get a piece of the cake. But for the most part, man, a lot of people, a lot of these other nations, all right, they're even calling Esau. They don't want to be like Esau. All right. So Egypt is mourning, man. Egypt shall mourn because of the plague that the Lord shall send upon it. All right. And it's a beautiful thing to see Esau catching hell. And I'm not sympathizing with him in no way. Fuck Esau, man. And what I mean by that is that you'd be like, oh man, this guy look horrible, or this guy's suffering. No, fuck Esau. He can suffer even more. Those big houses, those nice cars, that they be driving, well, they gonna have to sell them in order to survive, man. Now they feeling what we've been feeling for a while now. Hey, listen, us, we're accustomed to the conditions that we live in, such as getting going on day by day, and pretty much, eating day by day. Esau, they'll waste food, and go buy new food the next day. Well, guess what? They're gonna have to live like we live, and live day to day, check to check, But Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem, Makakodash, and double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to those for elect, hearing this word of truth and in sincerity. Until next time, I say shalom.